Hey everybody, I'm here today to show you and tell you how to cut wood without power tools. And this will be a tutorial, so let's get right into this instructional video. All that you need is a piece of wood and then something that will cut that wood without it being a power tool. So as you can see right here, I have just a small piece of wood over here. And then I actually have this over here. This is a hand saw. It's not the sharpest, it's not the newest, but it works, okay? Now, a hand saw or a saw of some sort that will cut wood is gonna have teeth like this. The teeth are gonna be quite large, and they're probably going to be slightly different sized, or at least, offset a little bit. Now this one you can see it's not offset, it's all in a straight line, okay? But the teeth are quite large, and they're just slightly different shaped, I should say. You have more of a blunt tooth over here, and then a sharper tooth. A blunt tooth, and then a sharper tooth. Back and forth, okay? But the teeth are quite large, okay? That's how you know it's meant for cutting wood. Okay, if a saw is meant for cutting wood, it's going to have large teeth like this. Okay, so this is a hand saw that I'm going to be using. Now, what you want to do is identify where on the wood you want to cut. And you're going to, you can draw a line on it. Now, this is just a scrap piece of wood, but if I was going to be, cutting right here, I would take a pencil and I would draw a line right over there. And then you have your mark on the wood. Okay, now when it is actually time to cut the wood, what you want to do is you want to take your saw, okay, and you're going to basically move it back and forth. I'm going to do this at an angle so I don't hit the camera, but essentially I'm going to start off, and let's say the line was right over here, okay? Let's say the line was over here across. I'm going to start off by just gently going on the line, okay? And I always recommend just sort of come backwards a bit, just like this, because that's going to give you the slightest bit of an indent, which you want. Once you've done that, then you can go back and forth. You can see what I'm doing here. Now, the key is, and my dad taught me this when I was very young, okay? I don't want to say very young, but my dad taught me this, he didn't let me use a saw when I was very young, but my dad taught me this when I was young in terms of watching him use a saw like this. And then, I took it and applied it to myself when I was actually old enough to be able to, cut wood with a saw when I was when I was like an adult, okay? But when I was very, very young and I was watching my dad, do work and cut wood and stuff like that, he would say, let the saw do the work. Don't put a lot of force, let the saw do the work. So as you can see right here, I'm letting the saw do the work. I'm not applying a lot of force. I'm barely applying, look, my fingers are off, look at this. I'm barely applying any force at all, okay? So I have a firm grip of that saw, but I'm not applying a ton of force, okay? And I'm just letting the saw do the work, okay? It's super easy. And what it's doing, as you can see, look at that. Look at how smooth that cut is. Look at how smooth that is, okay? I'm just cutting through this. And there will be a point when I'm going to be coming close to the floor, in which I am going to have to actually, lift the piece of wood up, which is totally fine. But I'm going to just cut it a little bit more, okay? And I'm letting the saw do the work. So you can see we are just over halfway through, okay? I'm letting the saw do the work. Just go back and forth. Let the teeth of the saw do all of the work. You don't want to apply a ton of force, okay? I'm going to lift the piece of wood up so now I can get a little bit more leverage, okay? And also so I don't scrape the saw against the floor. Now, ideally, you would be able to have, the wood hanging off something, and you'd be able to apply pressure here and just be able to saw right through into you would have something holding it, but I don't have something holding it in this situation. I was not the most prepared. So as you can see over here, I'm just cutting through, and basically we're almost through. The wood is even bending at this point. We're almost through, okay? So there you go. I know what you're going to say, the saw was scraping the floor. I know, it's not a big deal. But look at how clean that cut is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Ridiculous. So clean, okay? So clean. Anyways, that is how to cut wood without power tools. Simple tutorial. Hopefully you liked it. And that's all I have to say. I tried to keep it short and straightforward, so hopefully you enjoyed the video. And that's it. If you like this video tutorial, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know what you think down below as a comment. And of course, be sure to subscribe for more good videos just like this one. And that's all I have for you today. Thanks for watching.